Hello and welcome back for another episode of the Secret Lair MTG Arena Weekly Podcast. I am Daniel Guajardo and I am joined here by my co-host
Walsh.
How's it going, Walsh? What do we got today? What are we going to talk about?
It's going good. Had a good Christmas. How was yours?
Christmas was actually pretty good. Nothing too exciting. Played a lot of GameCube though, so that was really fun.
I got a lot of barbecue stuff and played some Nintendo and obviously played a bunch of Magic.
Right.
I actually bought back into Modern, so I'm ready to play some Modern again.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What should we talk about today though?
Let's do some of these previews.
Okay.
Kind of a slow news time of the season. So we got some Kamigawa previews we can go over, and then we'll talk about a couple of the events on Arena, and then follow it up with a little bit of Magic news.
Sounds great. So what are these beautiful cards we have here in front of us that look spray painted?
Yeah, the first thing we're going to talk about is these neon ink treatment cards. Now, I'm going to scroll up just a little bit just to give you an example of some of them. So the only ones that we have seen so far, and they're going to be treated throughout the set, are specifically Sogu, Devouring Chaos. Now, without talking about what the card does, because we'll get into that in just a little bit, I wanted to talk about the neon ink treatment.
Yeah.
So there's this treatment that comes in purple, yellow, green, blue, and red. That's just the color of the ink treatment. The card is still functional. You can get a non-foil. This is basically their, for lack of a better term, this is their pimping from the set. This is their premium, get it out of collector boosters type thing.
Yeah.
So, and it's not spread evenly, like, oh, I could get a green one or a blue one or a red one. It's not the same. So we're going to go into this article here from WotC, and specifically this paragraph.
Yeah, that's where it gets interesting.
The soft glow treatment is it's a new foiling process that they're trying on the cards, which looks kind of neat. I recommend going to the Wizards website to kind of watch one of the videos and kind of review what they're going to talk about. Well, we're going to talk about specifically this paragraph right here. So this feels like Wizards is trying their hand at varying rarities and as far as print runs. So they're appealing to the collector nature.
Mm-hmm.
In that the numbers on these aren't the same across the board, and it's not super specific. They don't tell you exactly how many there are, but like, let's just all read the paragraph out loud and go from there.
Yeah.
So, on like the soft glow treatment, you'll find on a variety of cards. This neon ink treatment is exclusive to these 4 versions of Sogu, Devouring Chaos, each showing off a new to Magic foiling process to make a card truly feel like it's glowing. These will be a prize find for players and collectors, and 3 of these colors are found only in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty collector boosters. So that would be the green, red, and blue colors. All right. Less than 1% of boosters contain a neon ink card.
Less than 1%.
So you have to buy 100 collector boosters to be guaranteed a neon ink card.
And so I guess for a little bit of comparison, a collector booster box, typically the good sets sell for about 200 when the set releases, maybe 220. The sets that people are buying less of, you can get for 180, maybe if you're lucky. And they come with
packs?
12 booster packs. So
okay.
About $2,000 for that
just
100.
For a 1% shot.
Yeah.
At a neon ink card. But wait, there's more. So half that, this sentence really irks me. It's literally this sentence that drives me up the wall.
It's written terribly.
Yes, there are half as many green ink cards as blue ink cards. So let's say you get an ink card. This is essentially the common version, I guess. Okay. And they're okay. Half as many green ink cards as blue ink cards, and about a quarter that many red ink cards as green ink cards. So if this is the common version, this, the green, would be like the mythic rare version, and then the red version would be some rarity that does not exist. But if I remember correctly, and don't quote me on this, I remember people smarter than me doing the math on Twitter, and it was vaguely that the red one was like 112 times more rare than the green one. So if you open a red neon inked card out of a collector booster, it's worth some astronomical amount because there are so few of them in printing existence. Now, collector boosters are printed to demand.
Wait,
but
are they?
I believe they are, but the price
No.
point.
Collector
Aren't they?
boosters were always only printed one print run, and when they're gone, they're gone. And that was the whole appeal to the collector boosters.
Okay. So okay, this frustrates me. But you know what? This is old man yelling at clouds. I miss just like card just being printed in a set and not like forced scarcity. But that's kind of what this is. As far as collector boosters go, it's neat. It's cool that you could buy a collector booster and win. You could win the collector booster lottery. But like for somebody that's, what if you just like really like the red color? And then you're just all right. I have to wait for them to show up on the internet.
Or you could take out a mortgage against your home.
Yeah, second you could, mortgage. I guess. I don't recommend that.
No.
I am no financial advisor, but I can't imagine that is a financially sound idea.
Okay, but, boomer.
Yeah, got me. Nailed me. But yeah, so that's how the neon foiling collector booster things work. The yellow ones will be released as the through the WPN, and then the purple foiling will come from set boosters and not collector boosters.
Oh, okay. I was wondering why the other one wasn't. So purple and yellow probably going to be fairly common. It's just red, green, and blue. They're going to be extremely hard.
They're going to be rare. Red is going to be like god tier rarity, just impossible to get.
Let's, for the sake of just trying to determine this, if they were evenly distributed, you'd have to spend roughly $6,200 to get 360 collectors packs, which should give you a 3.6% chance at opening each one.
Right.
And that's just if they were evenly distributed. You're looking at $6,200. So you're probably going to open 3 blue ones, right? This is the least rare. Yeah.
Yes.
You'll probably get 3 blue ones. And still be that's
given. I'm hoping that at some point Wizards will release the numbers after all the collector boosters are sold.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like our printman's dead, and then they're like, all right, look, this is how many collector boosters we sold, and this is how many Hit It Sogu, Devouring Chaos red inks exist. But I imagine that population to be in the double digits, maybe the triple digits.
Like 100 or something. Yeah.
They're like, I can't imagine a lot of them existing.
Okay, so I think this is leading, like this right here leads directly into sports card serialization, and not even just sports cards. Like there's Star Wars cards that are serialized that are really cool, and there's one of ones, and those are just kind of crazy to even think about, and they're usually worth a dumb amount of money. But I think the lowest, so most of the time they do these same like color schemes, but they're called refractors in the sports card world, and they'll be a 1 of 10, 1 of 25, 1 of 50, and 1 of 100.
Okay.
So
see, you know more about this on that side than I do.
yeah, but it could be possible, I guess. Like they use this, like we said, this crazy wording here that just annoys everybody because it really doesn't say anything.
It's non-specific. Like these giving us percentage value, like the percentage value, doesn't really mean anything unless we have an idea of what the entire population is.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this is Wizards like experimenting, and this is I'm just speculating on this, but this is Wizards experimenting with having a reserve list without having a reserve list, so anybody can get a copy of whatever card they want out of that set, but the ultra super omega rare god tier printing card exists too. Like you could just have a regular one. And so it's no longer about, they're appealing to both sides, like really. So they're appealing to paper players because paper players will be able to just acquire these cards regularly and use them functionally in their tournament constructed cards. And and then it also appeals to collectors because there are chase cards in the set that are ultra rare, but it doesn't price the constructed players out of the format. You know what I mean? Like, so they experimented with Mythic, but like when you get to the point where like Mythics are like, hey, I need a play set of this Mythic, and they start at $50, your standard deck starts at $200, so it forces the price up, and it keeps people out of wanting to play like constructed Magic.
That's still gonna happen though. I don't care.
I don't think it is, because
look at it now. It doesn't happen to the extent. Don't get me wrong. There's cheaper. We're not gonna have like $100 Jaces like there was for what was that, Core 15 or no, not 15. Origins, Magic Origins, where Jace hit $100 as a mythic in the set, and that's pretty high for a standard card. Like we just saw what the Goldspan Dragon hit 30, 35 maybe.
Yeah, I mean there were extenuating circumstances on that Jace. Like the rest of that set wasn't opened that often, and
I mean we're still gonna have those issues though too moving forward with any set. You know, we never know if it's a fan favorite or not until it comes out.
Yeah, I just feel like buying paper cards out of boosters is going to be more financially feasible, but this kind of applies to both.
Mm-hmm. So I did double check, and the collector boosters are still printed in just a single print run. How large that print run is, I don't know. I don't believe there's any information on that. I saw some people were trying to like put some numbers out before regarding the very first one that happened. What was it? The one with the fairy tale land?
Throne of Eldraine?
Throne, yeah. Throne of Eldraine was the very first one that had collector's boosters, so people were trying to get some sort of number on how many of those are printed. And you can see now that those boxes for a collector's box they've already doubled, and that was only 2 years ago, I think, 2019, when those came
when
out.
Throne was legal, it felt like it was legal for 15 years because
yeah,
because of other reasons, but yeah,
but you know those, like the value in those have already doubled, and there are some of the mythic full art foils which were only available in collector boosters. I think I've seen like Embercleave up in the $70 range and things like that, and those are only going to become more and more scarce for, you know, the really playable cards and older formats, or Commander, especially, as Commander still drives the overall market for the most part. Certain cards get that huge boost, but I haven't seen anything like this since the War of the Spark Liliana done by the artist for Final Fantasy VII, because that thing is still crazy expensive in the foil, and like a 9.5 graded version is easily $3,000, and there's way more of those than there are going to be of these.
Yeah, so, but that doesn't, my tiny smooth brain Cannot do the math on this stuff. But yeah, so red, super omega rare, but I feel like they're appealing to both sides, and that set boosters will still be opened in large fashion like they always are.
Yeah.
So it'll keep the price of these cards down while there will still be. I could get a Hit It So Devouring Chaos for like $2 if I needed one for my deck. And then if I was a collector, I could also just go after the one that costs a house.
Yeah, like this $25,000 card or something nuts because there's
Yeah.
4. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, it's crazy to me because it's happening in Magic. So sports cards are huge and they have a huge collector's market. But isn't it Magic or no? Well, okay, if we're talking vintage sports, sure, like in the 40s or whatever, those can be crazy expensive too. But Magic is one of the games that just hits the highest numbers dollar wise for single cards, at least that I think, because between Magic and Pokemon, Magic wins.
I mean, they're certainly taking a stance that was taken in the sports card world a while ago. And I think it's for the better because that actually rebounded that whole world, right? Because wasn't the sports card world just about to collapse? So yeah.
Well, it had already collapsed, and then it was kind of just, slowly going along with the really dedicated hardcore collectors for quite a few years. All through the 2000s for the most part, until they came up with these almost promises like the reserve list to let collectors know, hey, if you're going to be buying our products, we're going to put some stuff in here that is going to be valuable. We're going to limit it. You won't have to worry about the 90s where we printed 1 million of each card. We're going to put cards in here with pieces of jerseys from games, things that you just cannot get anywhere else, and make them more attractive.
All right.
Magic's doing the same, and let's see what happens, I guess.
And so that covers the finance portion of our podcast.
Yeah.
Let's go back into the part where we talk about actually playing with some Magic cards. Speaking of which, we have some previews that we'll actually go over now.
Yeah.
So going back to the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty previews that we're on Mythic Spoiler right now for those of you following along. Let's start off with the first card we talked about. Hit It Sogu, Devouring Chaos. So at 3 and a B, Legendary Ogre Demon, it says black, sacrifice a creature, scry 2. Then it's 2 and an R, tap, exile a top card of your library. You can play that card this turn. When you exile a 9/9 card this way, hit Sogu Devouring Chaos, deals damage equal to the exiled card's mana value to any target. Who is a lot of words.
Basic. Not that great demon.
It's so in the beginning, it's kind of it doesn't really do a whole lot, but like it can set up. It's still, you have to untap with it, which I kind of have an issue with, but it can set itself up to like sack a guy, scry 2, put something gigantic on top, and then shoot people with it. Yeah. That's true, but I feel like cards of this nature just Magic's moved beyond them. And what I mean by that is like this card is, wow, every time I scroll away, this card is like a Baneslayer Angel. Now, when Baneslayer first came out, it was great. It was an insane 5-drop. It was hard to kill. It was like $50 because it was such a huge staple. And now Baneslayer is laughably bad in any format that it was legal, because it doesn't affect the board. And Magic has moved on to a point where if it affects the board, it's going to be good. But if you have to untap with it, it's automatically like C tier or less, because having to untap with something just isn't what it used to be.
Well, the kill spells have got increasingly better. What's the last one they just put in the new sets? Just 2 mana, kill any creature, you lose 2 life.
Oh yeah. Cannot remember what it's called, but yeah. So my initial view of this card is probably be fun in Commander, definitely just untouchable in Alchemy and basically any of the constructed formats.
There is, I guess, the only saving grace, there's a sacrifice deck currently in the metagame. So if there were maybe more sacrifice pieces that came along, this could possibly see something there. But I
Yeah,
doubt that.
possibly, but I just don't see where this card slots into the sacrifice deck. Because you're
No.
talking about paying, excuse me, you're talking about you need 5 mana to be able to sacrifice one creature, right? So it'd have to be the turn you
Mhm.
play it plus pay 1 and sack.
Yeah, it's not that great at all. We have
Yeah.
3 mana card that just lets you sack unlimited times and scry.
Yeah. All right, so I'm kind of off hit at Sogu Devouring Chaos.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next one, we have, here we go. At Sushi the Blazing Sky, 2 RR flying dragon, flying trample at Sushi. When it dies, exile the top 2, choose one. Exile the top 2 until end of turn. You can play one of those or create 3 treasure tokens.
This card is pretty
They,
sweet
they
off the
have,
face of it.
Wizards has been on this tear of let's just print some 4-drop mythic dragons that are playable, and then you guys get to figure out which ones you want to play with.
Yeah, well, and dragons are huge right now in Commander after all the crazy dragons they printed in the past couple sets, to where
Oh yeah,
that's like one of the #1 archetypes that people are really having fun with.
dragons are always popular, man. They're dragons.
That's true. Yeah, dragons, angels, vampires,
Shi-
zombies.
Shivan is king, man.
Yeah.
Put
Yeah, we're getting
respect on the name.
5 of these new dragons now. They're
I
gonna
bet
print
we
the
get.
cycle.
I'll bet we get more than 5.
In Mythic, you think? The spirit dragons? I bet there'll be 5 spirit dragons.
I bet there's 5 spirit dragons and then some wonky 5-color dragony thing.
Sure. Or maybe a rare cycle too of like the
yeah.
apprentice dragon. I don't know.
I mean,
That's like
don't get me wrong. I kind of wish we got the old dragons back. Maybe an updated Jukin because that one was laughably bad, but I didn't mind the other ones. So
gotcha. But no, I do like this. I, I like that it's 4 mana 4/4. That's always pretty straight up. Flying and trample makes it great. And then having that ability to do something on a death trigger.
It's I like the first death trigger. I'm not sure how I feel about the second death trigger.
Well, the second one, it says create 3 treasure tokens, but it should just say create a Black Lotus that can be spent in different colors of mana.
I mean, doesn't this play with Magda? So like if you kill this, you can use the treasure tokens generated via Magda and this to like go get a big artifact or a dragon. Magda does get dragons, right?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm sure
Like,
it's gonna be good.
relatively sure it does. All right. Now, middle of podcast research is always the best research, but I have to know.
Yeah. So we do this very professionally, and we're just we want to take you along on this journey with us. This is how we learn anything.
Yes, dragon, nailed it.
Sacrifice 5 treasures, should your library for a dragon card. But wow,
Artifact
that
or dragon card
plays really good with the dragon that dies and gives you 3 treasures.
Yeah.
And also your dwarves too. Your dwarf dragon tribal.
Yeah. Nailed me on that one.
What's a grump? Like that'll be fun to get to that guy.
What is going on here? I have too many tabs opened up. There we go. Very professional. Like, all right, back to Atsushi. I think he's fine.
Yeah.
Because now this doesn't suffer from the Baneslayer because while it doesn't do anything when it enters the battlefield immediately, it does have a dice trigger, and the dice trigger will pay you off. So I think this card is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good. I don't know if it's busted. We'll just have to see what we can do with these treasure tokens. The fact that you get to draw a card, actually, it's a little bit better than draw a card, is kind of sweet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Atsushi is decent, and like the Dragons deck in Alchemy just getting more hits it's a positive. I think this card will see some amount of play, but I don't
Commander
see it
go straight into Commander.
Yeah, everything goes straight into Commander.
It's true.
All right, next up we have, and I apologize if I'm butchering these pronunciations. I'm going to try my best. So the next one is Kaio Suzuki. It's a 3-drop planeswalker, 1 blue-black. Being a end step, if it entered the battlefield under your control, he phases out. +1, draw a card, discard a card unless you attack this turn. -2, create a ninja with can't be blocked. A 1/1 ninja with can't be blocked. Then -7, you get an emblem. Whenever a creature you deals combat damage to a player, search your library for a blue or black creature card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. Okay, what is you? I know what my take is on this. What is your initial take on this card?
It's not that great for a 3-drop planeswalker, and planeswalkers do not stand up to time. I guess they're just not as good as they used to be. Like most people would have flipped back in the day about a 3-drop planeswalker, and now I honestly don't really care.
Okay.
Like he phases out, so he protects himself, right?
Right.
I like that. But when he returns, does he have reset counter? No.
No.
Okay. So I think it's better than your average run-of-the-mill planeswalker, but I'm not super impressed.
So
Am
I
missing something?
initially had the same feeling you did
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't really protect himself. It's not that great. Well, I think I'm wrong about that. I think this card is actually really, really strong.
Okay.
So here's my reasoning. 3-mana planeswalker that's already a tick up, because most of the 3-mana planeswalkers have been kind of absurd.
Mm-hmm.
Comes in, goes to 4 loyalty immediately, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Then phases out. So you get to do the thing with the cheap planeswalker that you want to do with every single planeswalker that has ever been printed. You want to play it, use it, and then untap with it.
Yes. Yes.
This says play a 3-drop, filter your draw, go to 4 loyalty, and then untap with it.
Unless it's killed at instant speed. But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there are going to be some outliers, but I think this planeswalker is really powerful. Like better than I am initially thinking, because regardless of the ultimate, which is normally like, yeah, they win the game or whatever. So you can just come in, make a guy phase out, and then immediately just start drawing cards for the rest of the game.
Okay. I think you're right, actually, because they can't kill this planeswalker by attacking it.
Right. It's just gone. You untap and then
It can
you're
only be
off to the
killed
races.
with a spell. And that
Yes.
in its own is probably going to make it way more powerful than I'm thinking. So you might be right. I looked at Oko at first too, and it took me 2 days before I was like, well, this is stupid.
Yeah. As far as the ultimate goes, the card I continually thinking about is just Hullbreaker Horror.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just all right, here we go.
Yeah. In 3 turns, 4 turns to the ultimate.
It'd be like 5, but that like the ultimate doesn't really matter. The ultimate on most planeswalkers doesn't really matter
True.
that much.
Yeah, if you get that far,
But
you're
this
probably
one
already
just
winning.
going play it, you could down tick it. Okay, phases out, and then on your turn, you just start drawing cards.
Yeah, and the
You don't
ninja
have
can't
to-
be blocked, so you don't have to discard.
Yeah, you don't have to discard, and then you don't have to tap out.
Yeah, okay, this could be pretty busted.
Yeah, I think this card is deceptively powerful. It's definitely not Oko, but don't sleep on this card. I think this card's really good for like a Drago control deck, and the blue-black control decks like had a week where they were pretty solid, and I think this card just adds to those decks and actually gives them a little bit more staying power.
Yeah, so I don't remember the name of this card either, but I've actually been playing with it. It's the 5-drop planeswalker that makes 2 spiders. The 2/1 menace spiders.
Lolith.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That card is just amazing. Does some, draws you cards as well.
It just fuels that black sacrifice deck.
Yeah, it's just that card is so good. So black has some really powerful, mid to late game cards. So if they can get some really powerful early game cards such as this, and that, you see blue black do really well.
Yeah, I think this card's don't sleep on this card. It's a 3-mana planeswalker that protects itself and then just turns into a Phyrexian Arena.
What's on his shoulder? Is that a robotic squirrel?
It's a robo squirrel, man.
Okay.
Like,
this card just got 10 times better.
Yeah. It's an electric squirrel. Protect your bolts.
But it does. that ninja creature token better be a squirrel. It better be a squirrel ninja token.
We can only hope. We'll just have to hold our breath and wait. All right, moving on to the next card before we get lost in Squirrel Land is
Yeah. Well, I guess
here we
really
go.
quick, how many arts of that are there that it was showing?
I
Oh, they probably
there's
don't have them all spoiled
there's
yet, but
yeah, but there's going to be several. There's going to be like a anime style art on a lot of cards, which I'm a big fan of.
me too.
And then just the standard art style. Plus, there's like 3 different art styles you can get.
I guess I was wondering
then-
how many cards will have the neon treatment.
I believe they'll all have the neon treatment available via collector boosters, but
Really? Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Maybe not commons, uncommons. I couldn't tell you for sure. So,
Yeah.
anyways, Satoru Umezawa. 1 blue-black legendary human ninja. Whenever you activate a ninjutsu ability, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them in your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. This ability triggers only once each turn. Each card in your hand has 2 blue-black ninjutsu.
Wow.
This card is definitely, it's in the Baneslayer camp, but it being a 3-drop and a 2/4 is very much in its favor. And untapping with this can be really, really upsetting. Even in standard, but in like older formats, the biggest idiot you can just put into play. You just have to preface it by like having a guy that is unblockable on turns 1 and 2, which don't seem difficult given that the blue has a propensity to play 1/1s that are just unblockable.
Since we haven't gone over ninjutsu is just whenever a creature attacks and is unblocked, you can then replace that creature with the creature that has ninjutsu in your hand.
Speaking of ninjutsu, would you like to hear a short, amazing story about the ninjutsu ability?
Sure.
Okay, our mutual friend Mike Tabler. I convinced him after him being away from the game for approximately a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I convinced him to go to a regionals tournament with me. That's how old I am, but a regionals tournament nonetheless. So we go to a regionals tournament, and Mike is playing for top 8. And I do not remember what deck Mike is playing, but his opponent attacks him, and Mike has, I believe, set up a lethal on his next turn, as long as he doesn't block this creature. Mike goes, sure, no blocks. His opponent ninjutsus in an ink eyes, says, ninjutsu this in. And Mike looks at him for a minute, looks at the board, looks at him, and goes, what the is ninjutsu? Had just had no idea. Ink Eyes comes in, gets Mike's Yosai or something like that, and just completely locks him out of the game. And then it's got to be one of the best one-liners I have ever heard, because just watching somebody who's completely oblivious to the ability just go, what the is ninjutsu, is one of the most entertaining things I have ever seen in my many years of playing Magic.
Yeah, I can relate. I didn't play during Kamigawa. That was during my break of not playing, and then the first time I think I played ninjutsu was with Modern Masters 2, or not Modern. Was it Modern Masters or Eternal Masters, or one of the Masters?
Probably Eternal Masters, yeah.
I was playing a draft and got ninjutsu'd myself, and was like, okay, what is that? And
what the hell is ninjutsu?
Pretty powerful.
Ninjutsu is a good mechanic. It just came in a set that was widely, a block for that matter, that was widely regarded as one of the worst ones Magic Wizards has put out. But I mean, I feel bad for the initial Kamigawa block, because it was butt up against Mirrodin, which is absolutely one of the most overpowered blocks that have ever been printed. So they knew they had to scale back. So Kamigawa is essentially Prophecy and Nemesis. But yeah, the Kamigawa block was pretty underpowered, but it did have some good. It had great ideas. So originally, you could say the first inkling of ideas from Kamigawa, the double face cards were kind of there. They didn't have double face cards; they had double-ended creatures
Yeah.
that would flip all the way over on the battlefield. But
Yeah, I remember those.
yeah, I enjoyed playing then, but it was basically just everybody was playing bad limited decks in constructed. So
It's talked about a lot. Like the set's talked. People loved the aesthetic for the set too. So I think people are happy. There's a fan base to see, us going back to Kamigawa. Maybe some of the people like you who played back then, they're just ready for a redemption of, the set.
I mean, it would be nice, and it certainly seems like Dynasty is going to give us some powerful things to do. Like this guy right here. I think this card's really. It's certainly a setup card, but like the fact that your ninjutsu cost is just pay 4 and put whatever creature into play. Like outside of actual like standard or alchemy or whatnot, like you could just put Blightsteel Colossus into play.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of things. Keep your eyes peeled. This card is either absolutely red hot must kill, or it's a dud and I'm wrong. But
the way it's worded though, like normally I think Wizards would have made a card that said each ninja has ninjutsu, and then that would have been the dud. Being any creature, I think could make this pretty powerful.
Surprise! I'm playing with who knows.
Yeah. Well, and what? Well, I guess do they get attack triggers with ninjutsu, or just ETB?
No, they get ETB triggers because they enter the battlefield.
Yeah, but the creature's already attacked and not blocked, so you wouldn't get an attack trigger from what your ninjutsu.
Yeah, you wouldn't get an attack trigger, but you would get an enters the battlefield trigger.
Okay. Either way, it can still be really powerful.
Yeah. This is like a blue-black sneaking show.
Which is cool.
Yeah. All right, moving on from Suzuki, we're gonna move on to. Oh man! Oh, whew. Same card, just
different art. Yeah, it's confusing.
Yeah.
I think those.
This is the Planeswalker. Yes.
Oh,
Many
okay,
of them. Okay, we can talk. I'll give you your time to talk about these basic lands.
These basic lands are beautiful, and they have quickly jumped up to the top of my basic land favorites. Well, not the top. There's maybe like fourth because I'm into the old stuff. But a friend of mine pointed out something really neat, and that is that mountain there, which appears to have a Japanese drawing of Nicol Bolas. I was unaware of Nicol Bolas's history in the Kamigawa set until before this podcast. Walsh caught me up here a little bit, but
I vaguely remember because I read the books. For those that don't know, Umezawa, and I wish I could remember his first name, but I can't. Umezawa is the planeswalker that tricked Nicol Bolas and locked him in like it's kind of a weird phased out prison type scenario on Dominaria. And so that's why you never heard from Bolas for a long time, is that Umezawa originally tricked Bolas into that essentially a prison.
Yeah, it's Tetsuo Umezawa, I think, right?
Yeah, Tetsuo Umezawa. Yeah. So and so much so that like when Bolas was freed by like Bolas eventually tricked Teferi into freeing him. As soon as Bolas got out, the first thing he said was, "Where's Umezawa?" Well, and that was the first thing he did, was go for revenge. So that's kind of the back history on it. Bolas being in this mountain, I have no idea how it plays out in the rest of any of the storyline, but it is super neat that they went back and put him in.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested
Bolas
to see
in any
how
set
that
can lead
plays
to
out.
lots of stuff, because he was just on the Egyptian, or he was in the Egyptian set.
Amonkhet.
Amonkhet, where he, was the false god of all the other gods and turned them all into evil zombies or whatever, whatnot. And he was also the master to Tezzeret, where Tezzeret was an apprentice of Nicol Bolas. He battled Liliana on Amonkhet. So like Nicol Bolas brings so much history that there could be anything in this set that could be really, really cool. And it could be a new Nicol Bolas card too, which
that would be kind of wild. I'd be impressed to see them bring him back already. But yeah, you never know.
Or it could be foreshadowing for an upcoming set, because Magic does like to do that or Wizards likes to do that with some of their sets, is try to foreshadow things from the next set too.
That is true.
But these lands
But
are
it's
beautiful nonetheless,
yeah,
and
these are absolutely gorgeous.
they can be found. All of the arts can be found in all of the products from the draft, the set, and the collector's boosters. I'm assuming if it's like what we've seen, you will get a foil one in each collector's booster, which is always cool. Most of the reason I try to get collector's boosters over the other ones, but I do really like the set boosters so I can get the cards I actually need to play. And usually the foils, I want to say for like the last two sets, Midnight Hunt and Vow, set booster would have 6 full art foil lands of the black and white lands. So you probably expect the same ratio with these, and I think these are gonna look really nice.
These are absolutely gorgeous. Like
remind
Wizards
me
just keeps
Of
banging it out
Impact
of the
lands,
park with yeah.
and that's why I really like them.
Wizards just keeps banging it out of the park with these full art basics, and these are absolutely gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have to say about them. Like, they're beautiful. I may consider actually picking up a set, and I am hard paper boomer. I only want to play with beta basics, and these are so gorgeous that I might just change that at some point.
I still only play with those, but I have a binder where I still collect all the basics because I don't care if I never play Magic again. I will still collect all the basic lands that are awesome. I don't know why. They're just the coolest things to me.
All right, now we're going to move into the not so official spoilers section. So
Sure
the top 4 on the left we already covered.
Yeah.
But these 5 or 6, sorry, these 6 here, these were posted via leaked Facebook groups and whatnot. So I'm not 100% sure how these, like, whether or not these are 100% or not. And going forward, I mean, we're going to talk about the information on them because once it's out, it's out. It's a Pandora's box. But as far as leaking cards go, my stance is that don't do that because it's shit for the game.
Yeah.
I've been around long enough to like see entire sets leaked 6 weeks before the set was going to drop, and all that does is hurt sales and it hurts excitement for the sets, and it's just overall a real shit thing to do. Because while you might think, oh, I'm getting one over on WotC, you got to figure a lot of people poured a lot of time and effort into these sets and to polishing them and doing this thing, and just dumping these sets early, it's just trash as far as I'm concerned. But we are going to talk about the leaks because once it's out there, it's out there, and I feel like it's content that we could produce. But I do not in any way condone or support people leaking cards early.
Yeah, I agree. But there is a ninja rat down there in the bottom left.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna go from we'll go bottom left over. And
I think there's only 2 cards that we can read.
Oh, well, I mean, we're going to use the fine internet wizards that have already translated some of the stuff that's super hard to read, and hopefully we can come up with something great. The first one's an uncommon Nezumi Prowler at 1 in the B. Artifact creature. Ooh, that's colored artifact creatures. I just now realized that could be promising. Artifact creature, rat ninja. So basically, robot master splinter.
Exactly.
Ninjutsu 1 in the black. When Nezumi Prowler enters a battlefield, target creature you control gains Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn. 3/1.
So if we get like a Shredder Splinter in the set, I'd be so pumped.
I mean, I'm hoping there isn't like a Ninja Turtle sub theme.
Why would you ever hope there's not a Ninja Turtle sub theme?
It would take away from the world that they're building.
I'm just waiting for a Ninja Turtle Secret Lair, but you're right.
I mean, it's definitely going to happen. Nothing is sacred. So, in before Ninja Turtle Secret Lair in this set.
Like, they got Stranger Things and Walking Dead, like Ninja Turtle should have been before those. All right. So this thing's pretty cool though.
Yeah, it's a combat trick. It's on a body. The giving Death Touch and Lifelink means that you can actually use this as removal.
Yeah.
It not having either one of those abilities on its own a little questioning, but it's basically just a combat trick with a creature body, so it'll probably be a decent card to be playing with
In limited,
in the
it'll make
limited
it
formats.
weird to, have a normal easy block. If you have a 4/4 block and a 1/1 or a 2/2, you have to think twice about it, see if you're going to get death touched, like with the ninja. But I'm sure this
Yeah.
whole set is going to be lots of hard combat math because ninjutsu just does that to a set.
Yeah, that's true. Not much else to say about it. This is probably going to be a decent card in limited, but I don't think it breaks it through constructed.
Yeah, no. And once we get all the cards, we can try to go over them more in detail and probably put out a stupid long video that very few people make it through to the end, but it's fun for us, so we'll do it.
Next up is another limited. I think a solid limited card. I mean, it's a 2-drop, and 2-drops are really powerful in the last 2 sets. And this one just being basically blocks or becomes blocked. It's a 3/3.
No,
So
it's a great card. Yeah.
decent wall, fine little beater. I don't know if this is either gonna. I have to see a lot more of the set to like know whether or not it's gonna be good. But I mean, 2-drop 3/3s are certainly nothing to scoff at. But it's only a 3/3 on the blocks, and it makes blocking it kind of difficult. So this is probably gonna be like C plus B minus level creature. We'll just have to see how the rest of the set shapes up.
Yeah, if there's some really good like pump spells in green, like there typically are, I think this card could be really good.
Yeah.
If there's shock, it might be less good.
Let's move on to the next one. Discharge of Flame. 1R X instant. It deals X damage to a creature or planeswalker. If you control a modified creature as you cast this spell, it deals X plus 2 damage instead.
So
Modified creatures are creatures that are equipped, enchanted, have counters, or have counters on them. This card is sweet.
Well,
and it gives us a look at
keyword.
a key. Yeah, it gives us a look at a keyword, and I think modified is the keyword in this set. Is a keyword in this set.
Well, if you look down at the card there, the fake card, or like whatever those cards were, they were like just hand-drawn cards below this one. I believe that has modified on it, but I've never seen that term in a set. So the source thing, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's sweet that it's in a set. I hope modified is kind of a thing that they use in the set because it's pretty easy to track. Does your creature have anything?
Yeah,
just on it, so it's solid. Plus, this card actually is a really good removal spell itself.
it makes a lot of sense to use it as a keyword, and I can't believe no one thought of it earlier. But yeah, it's really, I like it.
Yeah, big fan. I think this card's going to be pretty good. It might actually see some standard play. Just depends on what your 1-drops and 2-drops look like. But I think this is a pretty strong card to play with. At the very least, it's like a shock to creatures. Yeah.
Yeah, if there's like a +1/+1 counters kind of theme against anything, it'd probably be good against that.
It's not just +1/+1 counters. It's any counter.
Oh, true.
Yeah. So if your creature has a thing on, if your creature is wearing pants, get it.
So, yeah, typically X spells. Well, the only X spell I can think of that even gets played is Syncopate.
Yeah, but this one scales because it has the additional +2 damage, so it's actually pretty strong.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I do like
that. Moving into the ever more blurry and hard to read cards. Kaio, Soul of Kamigawa. 3 and a white, legendary dragon spirit. Flash, flying. When this card enters the battlefield, another target permanent gains indestructible for as long as you control Kaio. And then Wooburg, Kaio gets +5/+5 until end of turn.
So there's your 5-color commander. If you want to, I don't know what dragons they play as their commander. I'm sure there's one better than this, but
I believe like Scion of our Dragons, the busted one. But yeah,
pretty good.
I am leery of every card that has a 5-color ability on it. Now, granted, this is Kamigawa, and they usually have a couple 5-color cards in it. Maybe they'll give us a land like a Gemstone Cavern style or a
Reflecting pool.
What's the indestructible one? That's like pay 5, tap it, add 1 of each color to your mana pool.
Oh, yeah. I don't know the name of that, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, maybe look at something like that. As far as constructed goes, I mean, it's a 3/3 flying flash combat trick. It's a pseudo Archangel Avacyn on the front side, so maybe it's not terrible. It's got some potential. So
I guess depending on how many treasures there are too. Treasures can get you to that 5 color.
yeah, I'm not so much reading the 5 color ability. I mean, it's an ability on the card,
Sure.
but the first few lines of text are what I'm kind of reading, and I think Kaida's got some potential to it. Just depends on where the format goes.
Flash is always powerful in any kind
Yeah,
of
it
control
being
deck.
a 3/3 flying flash is really strong too. And it does say target permanent, so this can protect like a planeswalker being destroyed by a hero's downfall or something of that nature.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's a mid tier.
Yeah, it's here. And now, hopefully, they have translated this right, because there's no way I would have been able to. We have Takanuma Abandoned Meyer. It's a legendary land, tap it, add a black, and channel is a returning mechanic. It's 3 and a black, discard, mill 3 cards, and return a creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control.
Huh.
So they had a legendary creature something in Kamigawa last time, which was pretty strong. Because you had there was a series of 5 lands that all had to do with legendary creatures that helped pay you out and untap them and stuff. Channel did not go over well the first time around because of the card disadvantage. But this falls in the realm of like the double face lands where you get kind of like a pseudo spell out of your land. So this could be good. Once again, because it's early, they aren't really giving us a lot of heaters to go off of, but I think they're giving us teasers of what the set is kind of going to be like. So we'll have ninjutsu, we'll probably have a legends theme. We'll probably have like a 5 color dragon type theme.
And again, with like the commander stuff, this just pretty much slots directly into every single mono black commander deck because it just replaces a swamp and does an extra thing if you need it to do an extra thing.
Yeah, I mean, this just returning a guy in general is pretty solid, and there's a lot of the sacrifice decks that might play like one of these.
Yeah, well, and there are a lot of cards that get lands out of your graveyard back to your hand too.
Yeah,
like life.
And noted, it just comes into play untapped. There is no drawback to that. So
yeah, that's why
I imagine if your
just
deck is playing any one of these colors, if they all come into play untapped, expect that deck to have like at least one. But given that they're legendary, that could punish you slightly, but that's actually a good thing because you can gain additional value. Like if you already have one in play, then you can gain some value out of it by being able to channel it because the one's in play.
Yeah, or if there are any other cards that allow you to reduce something because of legendary permanence.
Yeah.
It could remove banding. We've seen those legendary lands.
I'm hoping that is not the case.
It's a one-up from that.
So moving on to our final spoiled card of today is a whole book on what's going on here. So for those of you that can't read it, I'm just going to read it through what looks like a failed print sheet that was thrown away and salvaged. The Kami War, a saga, which I am glad to see because sagas are a great card type and invention they've come up with. A big fan. So the Kami War costs 1 white, blue, black, red, green. As this enters play, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls. That's chapter 1. Chapter 2, return 1 other target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Then each opponent discards a card. And then Saga 3, excuse me. exile this saga, then return it to the battlefield, transformed under your control. The transform side is Okagachi Made Manifest. It's a 6/6 dragon spirit. Is all colors. 6/6 flying trample. Whenever Okagachi Made Manifest attacks, defending player chooses a non-land card in your graveyard. Return that card to your hand. Okagachi Made Manifest gets +X/+O until end of turn, where X is the mana value of that card. So
It's so hard to cast.
Yeah, it's so hard to cast. And the interesting thing to me is like, I don't understand why they decided to put the exile clause on the saga.
Huh, yeah.
So you get to chapter 3. If I'm reading this right, you get to chapter 3. It says exile it and then return it to the battlefield transformed. So that means Okagachi Made Manifest cannot attack the turn it comes in.
Mm-hmm. That is stupid.
Yeah. I feel like, look, you got to turn 6 or whatever. You had Wooburg, you cast this. Get to then you go turn 7, right? For this, and then turn 8. So at best, turn 8, you have a 6/6 that has to survive until turn 9 to start paying you off.
Yeah, not so good.
Yeah. I mean,
I like the first two though. Exile, so it's just an exile spell, and then also you could bounce one of your own things if you wanted to and just have them discard, or bounce one of theirs and make them discard. But
it's possible, yeah. I mean, I don't see this being a constructed staple in tournament
no.
style Magic. This is definitely like a casual commander card or whatever, but still, like, I feel like they should have gotten the payoffs. Can this, here's a question for you. Can this be a commander? Probably not, right?
No, it's not legendary.
It is. It's a legendary enchantment creature.
Where?
On the other side.
Where does it say legendary?
Oh. Okay, you're right. It is not legendary.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to say, I don't
So,
see that.
you can definitely have multiples of these in play. And multiple Okagachi Made
6,
Manifest.
7, 8, 9.
9. Turn 9, yes. Naturally, of course.
Yeah.
Kind of a sweet card because it references the Kami War that happened in the original Kamigawa block, which is amazing.
Yeah. So this set is setting up for the Brothers War, though, right? There's a Brothers War.
It doesn't really set up for the Brothers War because the Brothers War takes place in the past.
Oh.
So the Brothers War is what starts all of Magic.
Yeah, but I thought we were returning to something. Maybe we're going back in the past. I don't know. Forget I mentioned that. We'll talk about that later.
The Brothers War leads into another Dominarius set.
Oh, sweet.
I believe so. But yeah, this set really isn't setting up for the Brothers War. This is more or less, we are going back to Kamigawa to hopefully rectify a lot of the failings that happened the first time we went. Which currently, from a flavor standpoint, everything looks pretty awesome.
I like revisiting planes. I wish they would, try to make it a little more even instead of like return to Ravnica. But
return to Ravnica. How many times have we gone back to Ravnica?
Yeah.
I think so far I've enjoyed everything that I've seen. Of the few few cards that we have seen, the blue-black Planeswalker and Kaio Suzuki and Satoru Umezawa, are both the most impressive cards out of the spoiler. Not 100% on the other ones. Like Atsushi is fine.
Yeah.
Everything
3
else
mythics.
seems like a kind of a commander staple. Yeah.
Spoiled already.
Three mythics, but there are basically 20 mythics on the set now. So
yeah, I guess that doesn't really matter so much now, does
yeah.
it? Used to mean more.
Used to be a lot more. But yeah, I'm interested in seeing where this set leads. Hopefully, it opens up some new doors, because right now I'm not too much of a fan of how standard and alchemy for that point are. Alchemy is a little bit healthier, which is great. Standard is absolutely solved and won't be unsolved until they either fix it or just move everything into alchemy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but
Yeah,
kind of
it
what's
is what
going
it
on right
is.
now. All right,
All right,
well,
so
you want to touch on our last couple of things here real quick? I know we've already gone on quite a bit about these spoilers, but these are pretty, it's fun. I love the spoilers. It's like Christmas.
So we're a little behind on our times because some of these events have already started, but we'll talk about we'll quickly touch on the play and win big in the MTG Arena Decathlon.
Bum, bum, bum.
So the basic idea behind it is these decathlon events are going to be running from December 18th to January 1st. And basically, you play in the events, and they're alchemy and sealed and phantom draft or whatnot, and you acquire these these decathlon tokens. And once you get 3 tokens, you get to play in the end of the decathlon event, which is an arena cube draft. And then if you get 7 wins, the biggest payoff is that you get a complete set of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty and sleeves and avatars and wild cards. And for a lot of people, the biggest payoff is the unhinged basics.
Yeah. And well, the draft tokens are cool.
Yeah, some draft tokens.
Free drafts are always sweet. I guess about the decathlons, what I like the most is they're cheap events with just 2,000 coins. I think you could play any event.
2K gold, yeah.
They let you try lots of different archetypes that Arena's playing around with, and I'm sure that they're going to, well, I hope that they're going to use maybe some data from these tournament entries to determine what people are enjoying more, maybe even request some feedback from players. I'm not sure, but the more that we can get, the more fun tournaments, the better for everybody. And some stuff is just not that fun, so we can drop it. We don't need to continue to do things that we don't enjoy, right?
Yeah, I like that they're trying to keep it fresh. I played in one, and I want to be honest, I only played in one of these events. I didn't do well in it, and then I kind of had a conversation with a friend of mine who pointed out that, yeah, this is great for getting people to play, getting new events, keeping things fresh, but it also puts you in a boat where your first 2 decathlon tokens are basically worthless. Because unless you get the 3rd one, there is no payout for having 2 decathlon tokens.
Yeah, I didn't really like that. And I didn't like that none of the prizes mattered until the decathlon token.
Most of the prizes, yeah. The only prize that matters is the decathlon. So essentially you're paying, but you're paying quite a bit more because you have to fire off several bullets to get there. But, and I don't like I did all this and I earned my decathlon tokens, and I did it through constructed formats, and then the decathlon event at the end of it is an arena cube draft.
Yeah,
I feel like there should be something more, or maybe a mixed format thing, but I don't know how they would program that into arena. But you know what? I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. It's good that they're giving us more events that we can play different formats in that are kind of strong. I would just like to see prize support, a little bit better prize support, and make it matter all the way up the scale, even including the 7th win.
Yeah,
not just the 7th win is the only thing that matters. Everything else is basically worthless.
They're testing things, but treat it like you're testing things. You want results, you want data. Give better prize support because you are testing, and that there's a larger chance that people aren't going to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's true.
It seems simple. You incentivize people more to try things, and then once you find what people enjoy, then sure, the prize support could be a little less because you know they're going to enjoy it anyway. You got to find that balance. But here, I think they just went like real low price support and go ahead and play if you want to play.
It's interesting that like the last set of decathlons, like 8, 9, and 10, are just things no one really ever plays with.
Yeah.
Like a traditional standard best of 3. Ugh. Enjoy playing your blue-red turns deck against somebody else's blue-red turns deck in best of 3 matches for a long day.
Yeah.
Or if you bomb, let's draft a dead format from like a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? Strixhaven was how long ago?
Yeah, it's been a year at least.
It's they ran out of things to do, which is kind of ridiculous, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't get the decisions behind some of these sometimes, but sure.
Yeah,
I won't be playing in the rest of. I enjoyed some of them.
I pulled the trigger on one, didn't get there, and kind of just like, yeah, I kind of see it for what it is. It's getting people to play. It's a lot of formats, which is good, but it's getting people to pay a lot of gold to qualify for a tournament. They could also just like it. It's not even a tournament, just to qualify for a cube draft. Like all of this work to qualify for a cube draft. It's just not where I want to be. But you know what? To each their own. Not here to yuck their yum. So, covering the decathlon, there really hasn't been a whole lot of Magic news except for something that was announced yesterday that I think is a huge positive.
Yeah, it might prevent future decathlons.
or encourage them. Who knows?
Yeah.
Lastly, we're gonna go to the website as it's known, twitter.com. William Jensen, everybody knows as Huey Jensen, Hall of Famer, all around amazing player, and just super nice guy, has announced that he has taken a job with WotC as director of play programs. And for those of you that are like me that have played a lot of organized play events over the time and seeing how the MPL in the last few years of organized play have been just an absolute train wreck, this is nothing but a positive as far as I'm concerned. I don't think I would want to put it in anybody else's hands other than Huey's, because he absolutely loves the game, has been just a pillar of tournament magic. I am excited to see what he is allowed to do. Hopefully he isn't constrained by management where like he wants to make these changes and management just isn't having it. I'm hoping that Huey can help build a robust OP that people will actually want to participate in. We'll just have to see, but I think this is amazing news, and this is the first time in a long time where news has come out about something from Wizards and the internet as a whole didn't just collectively attack it.
That's true. So I'm trying to. The previous director was director of play programs and esports. So I'm not sure if they're splitting this position, realizing.
I mean, Wizards is wholly running away from the esports side of things. Like they said we are going to be an esports program. Look, here's our MPL, and then completely botched it at every step and turn that you could think of, via scheduling, via bad formats, like not trying to come up with a story for players to follow. So they just completely dropped the ball when it came to like developing an esports program, which is kind of sad because I feel like Magic could have been decent. It would never be where like League of Legends and stuff is, not by any metric, but like it could have been a really strong esports program.
So,
but I
like
think it was just completely mishandled.
I think everything about their company business is mishandled. Like Arena is what led to the esports program. And now if they're going to get rid of that, but then fully support Arena as being their number one way to play, but there's going to be a director of play programs for paper, it's just extremely confusing and continuing to mess up everything they ever try to do.
I mean, hopefully they have, and I find myself saying this about a lot of WotC decisions, but hopefully they are going to start actually communicating with each other, because it just feels like Magic Online, Arena, and Paper Magic have been conflicted with each other on event planning and stuff for years, where they just kept overlapping each other or just like horrendously scheduling events at the wrong time. Like, let's do our big pro tour at the end of a set that's already solved, and let's just keep running that format back. See Eldraine. Like, Eldraine Standard was solved, and we got to see 3 pro tours. It was like the same pro tour 3 times. It was heinously bad, and I'm hoping that the last few years has had an impact, and we get to see better steps forward, and hopefully we get a robust OP again. But that's basically all I got.
Yeah. I can't find any information on if there will be an esports director replacement or if they're eliminating that position, or the program in general. As of May 2021, they sunset the pro play system. So currently, I guess if you go based off this, that there is no current esports program, and making William Jensen the director of play programs at least tells me that they may not have any intention to reignite it, and we might go back to like paper GPs and pro tours and all that fun stuff.
That is the hope, because when Magic saw its unprecedented unbridled growth was during those years, when it doubled, tripled, and quadrupled in size. Was then. Magic is still growing, don't get me wrong.
Well, 2020 was actually its biggest year, and then 2021, Hasbro just said that it already crushed 2020.
Yeah, but that's in sales, right? Not in growth.
Yeah, probably in sales.
I mean, like, they're continually crushing sales, but I want to see growth. I want to see the player base grow and develop. It's nice that sales are there, because yeah, that means Magic's doing strong, but I don't know how we're doing as far as acquiring new players.
There has to be more. So sales can't grow that far with the existing players. Sure that it can grow some percentage and not add a single new player, but if they're growing at like the race that they're saying they're growing, then that just lets you know that there are new players still entering. But yeah, it would be nice to know what that percentage is.
Yeah,
but
we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah. I guess last little piece of news: SCG announced the SCG Con coming to multiple states next year. So there will be paper tournaments, and they have some 5K and 10K tournaments. And the closest one for us here in the Midwest is Indianapolis, I believe, March 18th through the 20th. So I'm very excited about that, and I will be attending that for sure. So
Same.
It lets me believe that, SCG is either going to take over and we're going to have paper tournaments year round across the country again, or we're going to get GPs back because Magic will always wants to get some more money, or if they partner with Channel Fireball again, who knows. But there will be paper tournaments, and I'm excited about that.
I wish I could find the announcement. Okay, here we go. SCGCon announces 2022 expansion. So yeah, there will be these cons. Indianapolis is the closest one for me and you personally, but it'll be Philly, Indy, Dallas. They did say, however, that the SCG tour itself is on indefinite hiatus, which means these cons will be standalone events, and that it will feature Magic events with large prize pools and whatnot. So I'm a fan. I love standalone events. It's great because as the player base ages, as it were, a lot of us just can't afford to continually grind events. So this is a good and a bad, right? Because I mean, the SCG tour is amazing, and it's done unparalleled growth for the game. Is an amazing thing for tournament Magic. That being said, it sucks that we're not having the old SCG back, but I don't know if it can function.
I also think that's still a big part of the pandemic going on, where there are so many states with different rules and regulations. Like I just came back from California last week, and everywhere in San Francisco, everyone's wearing masks outside. You get dirty looks if you're not wearing a mask walking around San Francisco. And where we're from, no one's wearing masks anywhere except like the dentist and the doctor office. And it's just two different worlds. But I had to show my card, proof of vaccination card, to get into restaurants, to get into hotels, like very different. So I definitely see why it would be difficult for the SCG tour to fire back up like normal. But if you could tell, they did all these here in the first quarter of the year there pretty much. So depending on after that April one, that could open up the second half of 2022 to going back to the tour if we have more control over the ever ongoing pandemic.
Yeah, it would be nice if everybody participated in trying to beat back the COVID thing, but
yeah, it is what it is at this point.
But I want to end on a
all the rules
positive
I need
note.
you to play Magic.
I want to end on a positive note. Paper Magic is coming back. Like we're getting large events again, and that makes me kind of excited.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be in Indianapolis. I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, me too.
Well, that's all the news we have for today. I'm surprised this was so long based on just the small amount of Magic news that came out, but I think all the information is pretty cool, and I'm excited about Kamigawa and Paper Magic.
And we promise that we're trying to get on a more regularly scheduled week-to-week thing, but we had a lot of life stuff come up, and it was the holidays, so we apologize for the delay on the cast.
Agreed, and we will make sure to do better because you deserve better.
Yes, I do.
I was talking directly to you. You deserve better, Walsh. All right, well, that's it.
Yeah, that's it for us. Please like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your enemies. I don't care. Just get people to like the cast.
Yeah, all that stuff. And if you watch us on YouTube, thank you. Leave some comments. We will check the comments there more regularly than we will on the audio podcast. I believe we have an extra episode up on our YouTube right now, and I'm also going to try to get those more aligned to where they're coming up on the same days for audio only and video. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, and do all that great stuff. We'll talk to you next week.
Take it easy.